Demand shifter 3 will be the prices of related goods. So the changes in prices of related goods can shift demand curves. So I have two graphs here, A and B. We have an increase in demand on the left and a decrease in demand on the right. So for example, suppose Brick Street increases its prices. What happens to the market demand for the woods, holding the woods prices constant? So let's just think about a price of a pint of beer. And so what we have here in our graphs is the demand for the woods. We've got to keep that straight. Demand for the woods. And so this price here is the price of a beer at the woods in both of these graphs. And so what do you think would happen if Brick Street starts increasing its prices? What will happen to the demand for beer purchased at the woods, holding everything else constant? Okay, well, probably people are going to want to go switch from Brick Street and buying more beer at the woods instead, because the woods now has relatively cheaper prices than it did before. Right? And so the answer here is going to be A, an increase in demand for the woods. Right? And what we call this is called a substitute good. And so when the price of Brick Street goes up, people will substitute out of Brick Street and into purchasing more beer at the woods. Right, so here's the definition of a substitute good. Right? It's goods that replace each other. So for your demand for a good will increase if the price of a substitute good rises. So examples would be driving, walking, cycling, ride sharing, taking the bus. Right? So if the price of riding the bus goes up, then you're going to switch out of consuming the bus and maybe ride your bike more often or drive your car more often. If the price of gas goes up, maybe you'll switch into riding your bike to school. Right? So all these examples here are substitutes. They're trying to do the same thing, transportation, and they're substitutes for each other. Another example. Now we have an example where we have luggage in for travel, and then also the price of air travel. So let's suppose that the price of air travel increases dramatically. What happens to the market demand for luggage, holding everything else constant? Graph A again is an increase in demand. Graph B is a decrease in demand. And so what we have is related prices. And so if the price of airfare goes up, people are going to take less trips, less vacations, less business travel, right? And if you take less trips, less vacations, and less business travel, you probably don't need as much luggage, right? You're not going to travel as much, it's not going to wear out as much, and so on, right? And so we have this price go up of this related good, and probably demand's going to go down. So for B here, right? And so if we have that relation, if price goes up and demand goes down of the good, then we have what's called a complementary good. And so these are goods that go together. And so for your demand for a good will decrease if the price of a complementary good rises. This is the opposite direction of a substitute. To keep these straight, come up with some example to keep in your head. Right? Think hot dogs and hot dog buns. If the price of hot dogs go up, then the demand for hot dog buns, the good we care about, is going to go down. Right? So the price of the related good is a hot dog. The price changes for that good, but what we care about is the demand for this other good, hot dog buns. Lots of times, peanut butter and jelly is the example I keep in my mind when thinking about this every time. I know how complements work with peanut butter and jelly, and then I can apply that to whatever application or question I might see on an exam.